Three of the biggest storylines out of the SEC in 2012. We'll start with Landon Collins. Under Armour, All-American game. Most saw it. He chose Alabama. He lives just miles from the campus of LSU. While he was hanging onto those Alabama gloves and showing them to the country on television, his mom was looking a little disappointed and holding up the LSU gloves. That was definitely one of the top storylines in 2012. Another one happened on signing day and even into the day after. Josh Harvey Clemens, five-star linebacker from South Georgia, committed to Georgia. Live on ESPN around 9:15 on signing day. His letter of intent did not arrive for hours and hours and hours, and then got out that his grandfather, his legal guardian, did not sign his letter of intent. It went on for about 24 hours, around 8 to 9 o'clock. The following day, February 2nd, the letter of intent arrived at Georgia. The grandfather wanted him to go to Florida because it was closer. In the end, Josh Harvey Clemens got his way and signed with Georgia. Jeremy Liggins, quarterback, Oxford, Mississippi. This one got bizarre. Another big storyline in 2012. He lives in the city of Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi. He calls a press conference on the radio in downtown Oxford, and most feel he'll stay home and go to Ole Miss. He goes to LSU. He has to get escorted out of Oxford back to his home. So again, a big storyline in 2012. Landon Collins to LSU against his mom's wishes. Josh Harvey Clemens to Georgia against his grandfather's wishes. And Jeremy Liggins to LSU against the locals' wishes. A lot of great classes again out of the SEC in 2012. At the top, of course, after winning a national championship, Alabama. Nick Saban and his staff had another stellar class in 2012. Leading the way, Landon Collins, a five-star safety, the number 2 safety in the entire country. A kid that's probably going to play early, play often. It could be a 3-and-gone type of player in the SEC. Travell Dixon, a junior college corner, an elite corner, one of the premier players on the junior college ranks. Expect him to come in and play early. And of course, Bama kept the best at home. Reggie Ragland, number 1 player in Alabama, ideal for their system on defense, 6'3", 245 pounds, maybe 6'4", middle linebacker, inside guy, and they're 3'4". They had the top class in the SEC. Following those guys who they played in the national championship game, LSU. They went into Alabama and got one of the best, Quan Alexander. Also kept one of their best at home, John Thomas, a tight end. Went into Georgia, Vidal Alexander, offensive lineman. A very good group, another top 10 class for LSU. In between Bama and LSU in the final rankings were Florida. Will Muschamp's first full recruiting class. Landed a running back, Matt Jones, from down in Central Florida. A 6'3", 220-pound downhill runner, really highlighting that class. Brian Poole, one of the top corners in the country from right there in Bradenton, Florida. And then DJ Humphreys, a premier offensive tackle from North Carolina, a 5-star that they kept in their grasp throughout the entire process. The biggest surprises in 2012 in the SEC. Let's talk about first Justin Taylor. Committed to Alabama very early in the process. Just a couple of weeks before signing day, he was told by Bama he was not going to be a part of this 2012 class. Coming off his ACL tear, missing most of his senior season, he had to start from scratch. He signed on signing day with Kentucky. Kind of came out of nowhere. Some thought he would wait until 2013 and go back to Bama, but he ended up signing with Kentucky. Jordan Diamond, 5-star offensive tackle from Chicago, Illinois, came down to the SEC and signed with Auburn. They were in a big need for offensive tackles, and they got one of the best in Diamond. What about Dante Fowler? On signing day, he had been committed to Florida State for almost a year, and he then flipped on signing day and signed with the University of Florida. A big-time defensive end from Lakewood, Florida, and a good get from Will Muschamp. Instant impact players in 2012, 3 guys come to mind. John Theus, the #1 player in the Southeastern region, a 5-star offensive tackle that University of Georgia signed on February 1st. Georgia needs offensive linemen. He's one of the best. He's physically, mentally, and ready to go as a true freshman. Quay Evans, a 5-star defensive tackle, could play 0, 1, even 3 technique in the Mississippi State defense. A big 6'3", 320-pound interior defensive lineman, a very good get for the Bulldog defense. Travell Dixon, a junior college corner. Bama lost both their starting corners. Daquan Menzie, Dre Kirkpatrick, both going to the NFL. Dixon will come in, I think will start from day one in Nick Saban and Kirby Smart's defense.